I want to play a moment from an interview that Lara Trump did on CNN. And she sort of shocks the CNN host with how outrageous a statement she makes. But this can actually work, the second part of it, to our favor. Meaning, she is justifying her now opposition to the Maryland Senate candidate, Larry Hogan, in the Republican Party, based on him essentially just saying we should respect the verdict in Trump's case. Yes, we should respect our legal process. And even if you disagree, if you feel angry, this shouldn't be justification to abandon altogether. That exact statement will be read to Lara Trump in the clip you're about to watch. But she disagrees. No, we shouldn't respect our legal process, she says, and then goes on to, it seems, abandon him as a candidate, but he's already the nominee. So the only other candidate that could win is the Democrat, and this is a great thing for the potential balance of the Senate. A reminder that Lara Trump is the co-chair of the Republican National Committee. So this isn't meaningless that she's expressing this idea and sabotaging her own party. Here it is.
Republican Senate candidate Larry Hogan in Maryland, and again, I'm asking this in your capacity as one of the co-chairs of the entire Republican Party, and he's a popular former governor in Maryland. He wrote this right ahead of the verdict. He said, quote, "Regardless of the result, I urge all Americans to respect the verdict and the legal process." That is not the Republican Party line at the moment, and in fact, he was attacked by the top Trump advisor, Chris LaCivita, who wrote that he, quote, "just ended your campaign," end quote. Does the Republican National Committee support Larry Hogan for Senate?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I don't support what he just said there. I think it's ridiculous. And I think anybody who's not speaking up in the face of really something that should never again have seen the light of day, a trial that would never have been brought against any other person aside from Donald Trump.
But does the RNC support his bid?
The respect of anyone. Well,
he doesn't deserve the respect of anyone?
Back to you.
I'm going to really quickly pause your viewing of this video to ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel. In the videos yesterday, I had recorded and we put in all the videos, me thanking you all for getting us across 500,000 subscribers. Absolutely incredible. We're going to pass today 510,000 subscribers. What? If you haven't yet subscribed, click it. Thank you all so much.
He doesn't deserve the respect of anyone in the Republican Party at this point. And quite frankly, anybody in America, if that's the way you feel, that's very upsetting to hear that.
So are you willing to cede the Senate seat in Maryland to the Democratic Party and not support Larry Hogan?
What I'll tell you is that we, of course, want to win as a party, but that is a shame. And I think he should have thought long and hard before he said that publicly.
Are you willing to use Republican Party resources to support his bid or not? It sounds like you're saying you're not.
Well, I'll get back to you on all the specifics monetarily, but what I can tell you is that as the Republican Party co-chair, I think he should never have said something like that. I think that's ridiculous.
Now, remember that what was said was, hey guys, I think we should respect the legal process. That's it. And that is enough now to have MAGA turn on you. All in service of Trump, of course. And this doesn't apply to many other things, but really disturbing. But the fact that she says he doesn't deserve the respect of anyone, and based on that rhetoric, I find it difficult to believe she's going to prioritize sending resources the way of Larry Hogan's campaign in Maryland. And that is one of the races that could determine the fate of the Senate. It's going to be really close, the Senate. Going to be a very narrow margin, whoever gets the majority. And so each one of these cases, each one of these races, I should say, matters a ton. And so if MAGA, as it seems is happening, and the co-chair of the Republican National Committee are abandoning Larry Hogan, that could spell doom for his campaign. And this is yet another example of course, what we've talked about all week, which is that watching Trump be convicted is enough for MAGA to say, all right, throw the whole justice system in the trash. We hate it. Attack it. It's no longer legitimate. So that's, always a takeaway of these moments. But the other is that Trump now, for so many, and this hardcore MAGA ideology, is far beyond in its importance the dedication to the party or to some set of policy principles. And all it takes is you crossing Trump for MAGA to say, all right, we're out on you. And I really do think, you might remember that in 2020, and actually it was 2021 when the race happened, But post 2020 election, there was this Georgia runoff election. John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock won those Senate seats. And one of the things that people speculate was the reason they were able to win, or at least by the margins they did, one of the things that hurt the Republican candidates was that MAGA wasn't super motivated to go out and vote because Trump had just lost. They were all wrapped up in these conspiracy theories that elections were being stolen. So they had all these reasons to believe that the system is broken. I don't care. I'm not going to go out to vote. I don't really care about these senators or potential senators. And that was an example of, oh, wait, this could be something that sort of eats the Republican Party alive, where they become so Trump-centric that any little feud Trump has within the party can hurt the broader party apparatus, their broader power. It's going to hurt Trump if he were to get into office, God forbid, and get a second term. And one of the reasons the Democrats have the majority is because of this sort of clash and this sort of feud within the party. That would actually hurt him, at least in his policymaking, if he has an actual policy agenda. And we saw that again in the 2020-2021 runoff. Then we're seeing it here. We're seeing it with Marjorie's attacks on Mike Johnson and all of the broader infighting over, are you MAGA enough or are you not? Are you dedicated enough to the cult-like belief in Donald Trump or are you not? And while that serves Trump in a very narrow sense, it actually could be the dooming factor for the Republican Party at large. And I think this zooming even further out is going to be what makes the Republican Party electorally suffer for a really long time. I think they're going to have a really difficult time electorally for quite a while because of the way that MAGA has consumed the party. And MAGA is politically toxic. Moving on from that, Eric Trump, the husband of Lara Trump, he appeared on Maria Bartiromo's show on Fox News. And I do want to, in this segment, or on the topic of this family, talk about this appearance. First, here's this.
The problem is Americans are really, really smart, and they get it. They get this system. There's only so many times you can cry wolf before, people see right through it, Maria. And that's why my father had the reception he had last night, where he had 40,000 people going absolutely nuts, chanting USA. They want their leader back. They want their patriot back. They want the person back who will actually fight for the United States of America. And that's why we're going to win. We're going to win on November 5th.
Okay, so what struck me there was there's only so many times you can cry wolf before people see right through it. True. That's what we've been pointing out about the it's rigged line, right, and lie, which is you can only claim so many things are biased against you before people, hopefully, if the world made sense, start realizing, wait a minute, everything in the entire world can't be rigged against Trump. Maybe the reason why he's experiencing all of these negative outcomes is because of him. Maybe it's a personal responsibility type situation. And when you go through the election, rigged, all rigged against Trump. He couldn't have legitimately lost it. The entire court system, the entire justice system, rigged against him. That includes his criminal trials, civil suits that are brought against him being a civilly liable rapist, and you can go on down the line. It's all rigged against him. And that really does apparently make more sense to people than maybe he just keeps causing things to be brought onto him, and this is accountability, not a witch hunt. So a correct point there in a sense, but making the opposite argument Eric Trump was. Here's another.
It's all about who counts the votes, right? You mentioned your wife, Lara Trump. She's the co-chair of the RNC right now. What has she said? What is she doing? What are you doing in the campaign and for your father in terms of securing this election and ensuring that we have, in fact, a fair election and transparent in November?
Well, I have a beautiful wife, but behind that beautiful smile is somebody who is absolutely working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to secure the vote and raise a lot of money. And what she's
This is so petty. This is so petty. I shouldn't say it because I've used phrases like that before, and I get it. I'm being hypocritical, but that makes no sense. No one can work 24 hours, 7 days a week. That's not how human bodies work. Okay, sorry.
done at the RNC, along with Michael Watley and everybody else. I mean, they've upended the whole organization. They've turned it into the greatest political fighting machine ever. And believe me, their eyes are on that problem every single day because it's a real problem. Anybody that doesn't say that voter fraud is real is is either naive or foolish. It happens. It happened in 2020, and we will not allow it to happen again. And believe me, Lara Trump is all over that. And I'm very proud of the work that she's doing, and I'm proud of the work that the RNC is doing. They're killing it, Maria.
Yeah, so they actually seem to be doing absolutely horrible, but we'll see how it all shakes out in the end. But I've been saying this is my new thought, okay? If you want to give yourself credit now for Lara Trump, for example, wants to get credit preemptively and be applauded for preventing, through the implementation of different policies as the RNC co-chair, future election stealing conspiracies, right? So we know this is all premised on a bunch of lies, and they have to act this way and pretend like they're working, and maybe they are working, to have extra people watching the poll sites and all of that, because they have to stroke the ego of Donald Trump and have to continue playing in this idea that he just can't lose elections. So because it was stolen before, now we have to do things to prevent it, even though this is all for naught. But if they're going to celebrate the great work that they're doing to prevent the election from being stolen, then you cannot then go on to claim it was stolen from you, despite all the extra things you've been implementing. You shouldn't claim without evidence that the last one was stolen. You shouldn't claim the one after that, but especially not after 2 elections of you lying and saying, we're going to really prevent it this next time. You can't come out with this stuff again, but they are going to. And I'm exhausted with it. Also, Eric Trump did the thing that we saw Ted Cruz do in a recent interview, which is to say, if you don't believe there's any fraud, then you're silly. No one's saying there's no fraud. We've talked about stories of Trump supporters engaging in voter fraud. It's that there's not widespread outcome-determinative voter fraud. And there's no conspiracy by the Democratic Party to win the election by doing voter fraud. It's this tiny, tiny, tiny number of individual cases of random people often accidentally voting when they're not supposed to, or engaging in voter fraud. And they should be held accountable. And many of them, I'm assuming all, hopefully, have been. And that's not at all connected to you lying about millions and millions of fraudulent votes being counted, and that being why Trump lost the election. And that is something that we should clarify, because they make it sound more reasonable when they say, I'm just saying there's some fraud. Yes, like every election ever, there's some fraud. That's not the debate. Let me know what you thought of that in the comments.